Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
Well, it's a wet and windy afternoon in Melbourne's northwest, as here at Cross Keys Reserve, Essendon Royals prepare to play host to Keilor Park in round 20 of the Senol NPL Women's Victoria competition. The high-flying Royals looking to get their league campaign back on track, having suffered back-to-back defeats in their last two NPLW fixtures, playing a Keilor Park team who, well, having quite the opposite run of form. They've put together back-to-back wins in the last couple of weeks against the two academy teams. They face their toughest test for a little while, though, this afternoon, heading to, well, many teams' least favourite venue to travel, Cross Keys Reserve. Essendon Royals this season have been really tough to beat, free-scoring, really entertaining team as well, under the new leadership of head coach Jaden von der Hayden. And they'll be hoping to close the gap on both Box Hill and Bulleen at the top of the NPLW Victoria ladder this afternoon. My name is Oscar Rutherford, here with you for this afternoon's game. A game in which both head coaches have made a couple of changes to their respective starting 11s. For Essendon Royals, Paige Kingston-Hogg and Ava Grober have both been elevated from the bench and into the starting 11. They replace Bella Sewards and Bronte Peel, who will start this afternoon's clash from the bench. Meanwhile, for Keilor Park, Jess Au has dropped to the bench for this afternoon's game, alongside a bit of a surprise in top scorer Abby Holmes. She'll also potentially be introduced in the game at some point in the second half. But a big return to make way for Abby Holmes, or to take the place rather of Abby Holmes, in the form of Caitlin Carriage, who comes into the 11 alongside Annika Gallagher. And with the whistle of our referee, Angelique Manjon, we're underway here at Cross Keys. Essendon Royals looking to restart their charge up the NPLW Victoria ladder. Should mention as well the other big team news, which we'll hopefully get to talk more about in the second half, is, well, a big return to the competition for Keilor Park. We know they went on a bit of a mid-season recruiting spree, and for the first time on the team sheet this afternoon is Margot Rabin. As we see her first move forward for Keilor Park, the ball into the penalty area and comfortably claimed by Zara Board. But Margot Rabin, of course, a long-term A-League and NPL Victoria player, now looking to bring her quality and experience to this Keilor Park outfit. Keilor under Liam Drury in their top flight their first season of top flight NPL football this campaign. Find themselves more than comfortable away from any relegation danger at the moment, and really they've got their eyes looking up the ladder at the moment. Those couple of wins that they put together, the first time they've won back-to-back games this season, coming against Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City in the last 2 weeks. So hoping to break new ground with what would be a third straight win if they were to upset the Royals this afternoon. Whilst the Royals, on the flip side of the coin, hoping to avoid a third straight defeat for what would be the first time this season, that in league action, having also picked up another win in the Nike Cup between those losses to Bulleen and Avondale in the last couple of weeks. See the attempt to send the ball forward from Amy Parkinson, doesn't get past the first defender though. Keilor Park now looking to claim a little bit of control. There's a little bit of danger coming out from defence from Amelia Ingalls. Eventually ball one back for the Royals. Grace Marr there was on the turn. Another good look could be coming in here. The shot on goal. Well, it's the first shot in anger fired by Kelly McGrawdy. She has been absolutely in red-hot goal-scoring form this campaign, Kelly McGrawdy, the off-season recruit. And very nearly opening the scoring in the first couple of minutes for the Royals. Running through both teams' full starting 11s for the Essendon Royals. We'll get to that in just a moment as Keilor Park attempt to spring forward, but, well, cleverly or calmly managed by Kendra Smith and her goalkeeper. Grace Marr now sending the ball forward, setting Ava Grober a bit of a task, but that will find its way comfortably through to Maggie Byrne. For the Royals, in goal is Zara Board. Number 4, Michaela Jurcic. Number 5 is Paige Kingston Hogg. 7 is Akeisha Sandhu. 9, Kelly McRorty. 10, Ayano Kozumi. Number 11, Ava Grober. 12, Kobe Wilbert. 14, Amy Parkinson. 20, Kendra Smith. And 81 is Grace Ma. Here's Grober again, who's seen plenty of the ball in the opening minutes. Ball spread out to that left-hand side. Chance for the ball to be sent in by Ma. Well defended yet again. And hoping for some support there was Grace Mitchell. It wasn't forthcoming. And as a result, Grace Ma will get another crack at sending in this cross. This one's a little bit better. Shot does eventually come in from Kingston Hogg. Does end up being a fairly straightforward claim, though, for Maggie Byrne in the Keilor Park goal. The rest of the team in front of Maggie Byrne. Number 2 is Kennedy Layton. Number 3, Amelia Ingalls. 11, Caitlin Courage. 12, Mia Power. 15, Georgia Henderson. 16, Jess Sheehan. 23, Sarah Mitchell. 28, Runa Commodore. 31 is Annika Gallagher. And number 44 is Sarah's sister, Grace. So Essendon Royals getting their foot on the ball in these opening minutes, trying to set a bit of a tempo for this, their home game. That one best read by Mia Power as Caitlin Courage has a bit of a coming together with Kingston Hogg. Power to take the throw for Keilor Park. Plenty of depth on that ball in. Jess Sheen keeping the chance alive. Still Sheen fires the shot in the general direction of goal. Henderson looking to tee up Karic, who couldn't get the shot away. And Michaela Jurcic thumping it into the stands. Some of the spectators on the balcony just about getting a fist onto that one to send it back towards the playing area. Did have a brief spell of rain not too long before kickoff, but it does look as if that was just a passing shower, so hopefully for the players involved and, well, all those exposed to the elements out there, that will be the end of the rain in this afternoon's contest. The Royals now resuming their attempt to build up as Ayano Koizumi finds Kingston Hogg. It's a clever little touch from Kobe Wilbert, just wasn't able to direct it into a teammate's path. Karic. There's about 3 players to beat. Kingston Hogg timing the tackle to great effect. That one falls out to Power, who looks centrally. Ma applying the pressure as the Royals quick to win back possession. Koizumi, though, didn't see Henderson coming, and that sets Karic away. Caitlin Karic from a long way out. Well, she's certainly capable of some special things, Caitlin Karic. That one, though, well off target. Karic, one of a number of Keilor Park players to join from both other NPL clubs as well as the A-League, with that season having wrapped up a couple months ago. Karic, of course, spending another campaign at Melbourne City. She continues to develop into more and more of an attacking threat as the seasons go by. Mia Power happy to watch that one roll behind for a goal kick. This one of 3 Senol NPLW Victoria games coming your way on YouTube this afternoon in about 20 minutes time, kicking off at Lakeside between South Melbourne and Spring Hills, before a little bit after that Heidelberg United and Alamein do battle. So a number of teams featuring in and around the finals race, including of course Essendon Royals right here today. Parkinson looking for Grober. Ingles looking to use the body, but Ava Grober wins out. Goes across goal, rather. Ayana Kozumi was arriving, just couldn't sort out her feet in time. Ava Grober, as relentless as ever, and did really well to deliver a tantalising ball that, if someone could just get a bit of firm contact on, would have surely ended up in the back of the net. Just a slight pause as referee Angelique Manjon just makes sure that all the technology is working as it should. Keisha Sandhu tracking back and able to send the ball back to her goalkeeper. Royals, as mentioned, coming into this game off those back-to-back league defeats, first against Bulleen, then against Avondale, so two of their direct title rivals at this point. Avondale storming up the table over the last month or so. Bulleen, and they did slip up last night, Bulleen, dropping points away at Preston, so that does open the door a little bit for the Royals. If they were to win today, close that gap to just 1 point. Mars' delivery, met by the head of Mia Power. Here's Commodore with the little feint and then thumps it out off Grace Mar. Those couple of defeats, no doubt a source of a little bit of concern for Jaden von der Hayden and his Royals team, coming up against two teams that they'd expect to face towards the pointy end of the season, if they are indeed to take home some major silverware this campaign. Here's Kelly McRorty for the Royals. Skips past one, almost the other, but that final touch came off the Essendon Royals striker. It's worth mentioning, though, that, of course, the caveats to those league defeats being Essendon Royals' continued progression in the Nike Cup. They've got a semi-final coming up in midweek where they'll look to avenge that result against Bulleen at the Veneto Club. But also before that, they went on quite the run. 7 consecutive wins across all competitions, 5 of those coming in NPLW action. Kelly McRorty trying some clever flicks and tricks, gets the ball back now, chests it into a path. Eventually the numbers winning out for Keilor Park. Keilor Park to eventually find their way back to goalkeeper Maggie Byrne. As you can see, is in not a great rush to restart play, 11 and a half minutes in. Keilor Park, a team who build more of their success on the defensive side of the game. They'll have a real task, though, this afternoon, containing most notably Kelly McRorty, who scored one of the Royals' 2 goals in last week's defeat to Avondale. That goal from Kelly McRorty taking her season's tally in NPL football to 22 goals. It's been an unbelievable debut campaign from the number 9 for the Royals. Chance perhaps for a look at goal here for the striker. Fired the shot right into the legs of Kennedy Layton, and eventually the ball finds its way out and out of play. Attempting clearing ball out in the direction of Grace Mitchell, just a little bit too much zip on the pass. So the Royals right now really in the ascendancy, pinning back their visitors, making life very uncomfortable for Keilor Park. Throw in picks out McRorty, who uses Parkinson. The Karic half block does enough to deflect the ball away from goal. Gallagher with the defensive effort there and doing enough to avoid the concession of a corner. Charging through was Kingston Hogg. Just about floored Runa Commodore, but the Royals continuing to poke and probe. That ball in once again was targeting Kelly McGrawdy, and that time it's taken a touch off Mia Power and behind for an Essendon Royals corner. Keisha Sandhu will head on over to deliver. Couple of tall targets in the shapes of McGrawdy, Ma, Kendra Smith as well. In the end it was Koizumi who got the header towards goal, and Maggie Byrne having to do some unconventional goalkeeping, just sticking out a toe to send it back behind for another corner. So Sandhu will get another crack at this one. This one's got a little bit more depth on it. McGrawdy rises. Kelly McGrawdy. Well, you can't keep her down for long. 23 goals and counting in her debut NPLW Victoria campaign, and Essendon Royals have themselves a lead. Well, they had their warning shot, Keilor Park. That Koizumi header was not dealt with especially well, but the second delivery was a real peach from Keisha Sandhu, picking out Kelly McGrawdy, who, well, from that range was never likely to miss, and indeed thundered it home for an opening goal. So Keilor Park, well, you can imagine part of the acceptance of the game plan this afternoon would have been absorbing a fair bit of pressure and maybe looking to hit on the counter, but to have conceded just 15 minutes into the first half means that, well, maybe there'll have to be some adjustments to that game plan, needing to show a little bit more attacking potential, maybe Keilor Park. Their struggle at the moment, though, is really just spending any time with the ball at their feet. Does seem whenever they've got it, it's deep in their own half, and Essendon Royals numbers are circling. But it's been an ideal opening to this game for the Essendon Royals. Here's Runa Commodore, who pops up in every part of the pitch. Works immensely hard to get involved and support her teammates. Mitchell was hoping to send Power on a little bit of a run, who's shifted over to that right full-back position, Mia Power. Swapping flanks with Annika Gallagher, who's moved over here to left-back. Ingles ball up towards Courage, will rebound to Gallagher. Now Commodore. You see the Essendon Royals really compressing the pitch. Kendra Smith and Michaela Jurcic urging their teammates forward, such that just about every player for a moment there was in the Keilor Park half. They do make life so uncomfortable for opposition teams, Essendon Royals, particularly here at Cross Keys. That one falls into the path of Courage, who decided to strike it first time. Chance here for Jess Sheehan, making her way down the right wing. Ball inside will be met by Kendra Smith. Could fall though. Well, just about served Caitlin Courage there. Up on a plate, that look at goal. Smith mistiming the clearance, and Courage has now had 2 or 3 half opportunities in the opening 20 minutes of this one. As of yet, though, hasn't really struck any of them as she would have hoped. Really has been so much fun this season to watch Kelly McGrawdy do her work. You saw there just the close control of the ball and using her body so smartly to protect it as well. Helping out her team to get the ball back into the Keilor Park half. The moment they're forced to retreat to Smith, who wastes no time trying to zip a ball through, but that one had a little bit too much on it for any of her teammates. So with that Kelly McGrawdy goal, as things stand, Essendon Royals jumping up, breaching the 40-point mark this campaign, just 1 behind Bulleen and 3 behind Box Hill. That would be how things stand if they were to go on and secure the 3 points this afternoon. Just the 6 league games to play after this. Leighton there, clearing only as far as Marr, who retreats back to Parkinson as the Royals once again happy to recycle the ball. The thing for the Royals is you look at their end to the season and the teams they have to play. Amelia Ingles there getting across to stop the Parkinson run at least for a moment. There's Commodore as well. For the Royals, having played Avondale and Bulleen in the last couple of weeks, Box Hill a bit over a month ago now, that extraordinary afternoon in which they put 7 past the defending champions. But it does mean that if you take out a really tough Nike Cup semi-final tie against Bulleen, games after this for the Royals, the 2 academy teams back-to-back, Bentley, Preston, Heidelberg, that's a whole lot of teams who aren't on track by any stretch to play finals, as we see this Grace Marr delivery. But it does just suggest that the Royals could well find themselves in a position, if they're able to maintain this level of putting together a really healthy winning run towards the end of the campaign and putting all sorts of pressure on Bulleen and Box Hill ahead of them. They do end the campaign, Essendon Royals, with a game at Lakeside against South Melbourne, which would be just about the perfect warm-up for finals football, if indeed both teams are still able to find themselves in a position where that's on the cards. If you include today's game against Keilor Park for the Royals, it means 6 of their last 8 games coming against teams in the bottom half of the NPLW Victoria ladder. So they've done a lot of the hard yards. They do need to keep putting the points on the board, and at the moment they're on the right track against Keilor Park. Still plenty to play out though this afternoon, as we see the visitors having themselves a throw-in. Kingston Hogg getting right in the thick of it, extracts the ball and uses the numbers defensively in support. It's a really nice couple of touches from Parkinson. The ball had too much on it though for Grace Marr to get onto. Maybe a little bit over enthusiastic, having manufactured that space for herself. was well worked out of midfield by a combination of Henderson and Sarah Mitchell for Keilor Park. They got it up in towards Caitlin Carriage. The challenge, of course, just the numbers converging on player in the number 11 shirt for Keilor Park. And ball forward only as far as Jurcic, who looks to send Parkinson on a run. Gallagher's throw, the flick-on header from Georgia Henderson, one of a number of players crossing over from Preston Lions in the mid-season window for Keilor Park. Koizumi now sends it back to Smith. Had Sheehan buzzing around, but wasn't able to get near the central defender, Commodore. Looks centrally cut out by Wilbert. Now McRorty from the long way out, and that one a little bit more comfortable to deal with for Maggie Byrne. That goal from Kelly McRorty taking Essendon Royals league tally to 52. This their 20th game, so going at over 2.5 per game, the Essendon Royals. Still a chance to add more to that tally this afternoon as we see Koizumi finding her way into a bit of space. Uses Ma, who tries to tee up McRorty. Now Wilbert just couldn't manufacture the space with Henderson seemingly tied to her hip. And Angelique Manjon not interested in heeding the shouts for perhaps a penalty or free kick. And Essendon Royals will have to settle themselves for a corner. Grace Ma to deliver, one of the big name returnee for the Royals in the mid-season window. Right onto the head of the goalkeeper. It's awkward for Byrne, who did well to get a couple hands on it and direct it away from goal. Falling into the goal mouth in the aftermath, Maggie Byrne, but did enough to get the ball clear. Throw in taken quickly for Koizumi, who let it bounce, and well, that proved to be the fatal error as it slips behind for a goal kick. Grace Ma, we've seen heavily involved in the opening 26.5 minutes of this one, rejoining from Melbourne Victory, player who's deeply enmeshed in the Essendon Royals women's football program and has really elevated the Royals on the pitch as well. Already a highly effective team before her return, but well, you can understand why Jaden von der Hayden would be keen to get her involved. Here's Kingston Hogg, one of the inclusions for this afternoon's games. Pass into Wilbert, looked for a moment as if the Royals might be coughing up possession, but Kendra Smith taking no chances in sending the ball up to a much less dangerous area where the Royals have themselves a throw. It's taken quickly where Grober on the turn. Ava Grober. Well, that would have been a lovely finish if she'd been able to sneak that inside the far post. Wasn't to be, though. It's been a busy opening half thus far for Maggie Byrne. Player joining Keilor Park at the start of the campaign from Preston Lions is Byrne. Her goal kick upfield eventually ends up at the feet of Commodore, who returns it to her goalkeeper. Sarah Mitchell had power and support, who hoped for Sheehan, who's got Kendra Smith for company. Jess Sheehan did well to retain control of the ball. Leighton. Sarah Mitchell, cross inside. Closest to it was Jurcic. Just nodded it down in front of herself before hoofing it clear. Keilor, a long-term servant of this Essendon Royals club. Was with the club through their promotion from VPL up into the top flight, where they've become, well, mainstays of NPLW Victoria. Competitive at the top end as well, playing finals on more than one occasion. Right now, though, the Royals have a free kick to defend. Kennedy Leighton readying to send this one into the pack of players amassing just outside the penalty area. He's got plenty of power on that one. Indeed, it's over the head of her centre-back partner in Ingles. And Caitlin Courage couldn't seize control of the ball. Henderson crosses a good one, headed towards goal. Well, it was really nicely played by Georgia Henderson. Picked out at the edge of the area Grace Mitchell, but wasn't able to generate the power to really trouble Zara Board in between the sticks for Essendon Royals. And as we tick past half hour played in this opening 45 minutes, Zara Board has mostly found herself as a spectator. That one could fall to Ava Grober. Tried with the left, sent it towards goal, but just slicing a little bit on the attempt, which takes the ball away from Maggie Byrne's goal. Well, the challenge this afternoon for Keilor Park is clear. They need to start by threatening goal a little bit more often. Scoring has been really one of their main weaknesses this campaign. Just the 21 goals from their 19 games played thus far. In stark contrast to the Royals and their free scoring approach. It's only the bottom two, Melbourne City and Bentley Greens, who have scored fewer goals than Keilor. Hoping that perhaps the likes of Caitlin Courage can reverse that a little bit towards the end of this season, but at the moment she's not getting very many clear looks. The Royals right on top of the general play. Kingston Hogg. Just slightly off balance as she hit the cross, and that is comfortably watched over by Maggie Byrne. I've heard a couple of frustrated groans from some Keilor Park allied spectators here. They're seeing Runa Commodore on the ball and Caitlin Courage look to be making the run that maybe could have been played in behind. Commodore not seeing it, or at least not seeing it in time, as Essendon Royals quickly got back to cover. Maybe another look here for Commodore. Toes it over towards Henderson. That's a lovely pass into the path of Caitlin Courage. Courage for Keilor Park. Pulls it just wide. Well, it's as good a look as Keilor Park have had in this opening half. And Caitlin Courage, well, pulls her shirt over her head. Cannot believe that she's missed that opportunity to bring Keilor Park level. Well, we were just discussing whether Caitlin Courage was getting the looks at goal that she needed. You can't dispute the quality of that opportunity. Really clever build-up from Commodore and especially Henderson with the ball over the top. Courage timed the run really nicely to be through on goal. Maybe just a bit of a case of when you get so few opportunities, when they do pop up, there's that added pressure to take your chance, causing Courage to tug the shot just wide. We'll give it away again here. Just Sheehan now hoping to release Courage, but the ball through was much too skinny. Well, Essendon Royals have been fired a couple of warning shots in return now in the past few minutes. Keilor Park showing that they're certainly not interested in just rolling over and accepting this result as it currently stands. And perhaps that will lead to a redoubling of the attacking intent. Ball inside, headed towards goal. And I think Maggie Byrne will have been very grateful to see that one headed straight to her. The McGrawdy header wasn't lacking in power, but Maggie Byrne in the right position and in truth the ball not overly challenging the goalkeeper's movement. Just the quick reflex save. Here's Grover. Looks again towards McGrawdy. That may have struck a hand. Referee happy to let play continue. Commodore. Space here for Grace Mitchell. Trying to time it well for Sheehan, who had a little bit of a tug back on Akeisha Sandhu's shirt. And that's what prompted Angelique Manjon's whistle. Sandhu, one of those players who's such a smart recruit for an NPL team aspiring to compete for big things. So experienced at this level for a number of clubs now. Of course, scored the winning penalty for South Melbourne last season in the Nike Cup final. Showing all the composure and skill that she's become renowned for at this level. And this afternoon, as she has for much of the season, holding up the left side of defence for Essendon Royals. A defence that has really only had that one great opportunity given up to Caitlin Courage. McGrawdy stepping out and fouled by Leighton. A couple of the off-season recruits from the United States getting involved in that last passage of play. Koizumi's ball into the area, beats everyone, but may well be kept in by Parkinson. Just didn't quite have the legs. Sandhu has a little bit of space on the left side. Koizumi was there in support. Power making no pretense of her intent there as she sends it out for a throw. All inside the area, well watched by Byrne. Just about coughed up a chance there to Kelly McGrawdy, but Byrne grateful to see that second catch was enough to take full control of the ball. They've done a decent job, Keilor Park, of just stemming some of the tide of Royals' attacks. Koizumi there took on the shot first time, and well, you saw the idea, maybe aiming for one of those top corners, the outside of the boot strike, but got underneath it a little bit too much and sends it over the crossbar. But there was just a period in this first half where it felt like Keilor Park were just banging, or rather Essendon Royals were banging on the door of the Keilor Park defence fairly incessantly. The visitors, though, have just brought themselves a little bit of relief from the defensive side of the game. And that won't help, though, that back pass from Henderson, coughing up possession to Grover. Kingston Hogg was hoping to spring forward, but the referee's whistle meaning Keilor Park will regain possession. You can see it's turned into quite a pleasant afternoon in Melbourne's northwest. Blue skies above Cross Keys at the minute. Still a bit of a wind going, which just makes control of the ball and maybe some of those long distance deliveries a little bit harder to control. Here's Parkinson stepping out of defence. Charges into Sarah Mitchell. Koizumi finding Sandhu in some space. Sandhu's ball forward, met by Sarah Mitchell, and now Commodore was, well, trying to navigate a tight space but couldn't come away with the ball. Sandhu. There's Ma. A physical wrestle between Grace Ma and Grace Mitchell. Two Graces on the park. It was the Keilor Park player who got the ball away, but only as far as the sideline for a Royals throw. Sandhu and Koizumi combine again. That one, though, Koizumi couldn't take control of, so Keilor Park find themselves a little bit more relief. They've got only around about 5 minutes left to get through in this opening half. Team Drury, you'd imagine, would feel that his team is still right in this one, just the one goal behind. Really only the one very good look at goal that Essendon Royals have been able to manufacture thus far, which was thumped home by the head of Kelly McGrawdy. And of course that one golden chance for Caitlin Carriage, which was spurned for the visitors. Kingston Hogg. Clever 1-2 with McGrawdy. Grover was looking to make the run out on the right flank, but coming together with Carriage, saw the Royals winger on the deck. Ingles battles with Grover. The combination of Ingles and Carriage, though, come away with the ball only momentarily. Koizumi, clever pass for Kelly McGrawdy. It's 2 for the Royals. Give away the ball there at your peril, and there was a sense of inevitability about it as Kelly McGrawdy through one-on-one, picks out the top corner, 2-0 Essendon Royals. Well, the council meets for Keilor Park in the aftermath of the goal. Bit of a team huddle and some words being exchanged. They've done a good job to wrestle themselves a bit of a foothold in this game, despite clearly being second best for most of the half, Keilor Park. So to concede a goal like that, having won back the ball to give it away, and then, well, Ayana Koizumi showing all the smarts in the world with the cleverly weighted pass, and Kelly McGrawdy, well, there isn't a striker in the competition who you'd be more certain of putting that one away than the American leading the line for the Royals. Essendon Royals do have themselves another corner. Keisha Sandu, if they were able to nab a third goal. Essendon Royals just about consider this game over by half time. Ball sent in right on the head of the goalkeeper. The referee's whistle, though, coming to the aid of Keilor Park. That goal for Kelly McGrawdy, her 24th now in NPL football this season, extending her lead at the top of the Golden Boot race. Now 5 clear of Maja Markovski on 19. And as we head into just the 1 minute of first half stoppage time, maybe time for one surge forward for Keilor Park to try and give themselves a bit of a lifeline heading into the second half. Mia Power will take the throw. Goes the direct approach up towards Henderson. Could fall for Karic, but Jurcic at best. Now Commodore, met by Ma. And maybe it's the Royals who will strike late. Grace Ma. The run made by Grober. Returns the favour to Grace Ma. The touch, well, it got her past Leighton but couldn't maintain control. Wilbert. Ma looked centrally but no one was there in support. And Caitlin Karic, well, maybe hoping for a wonder ball to pick out Chin. It's a potential nightmare for Zara Board. She's done just enough to cover her tracks. And well, after a slightly chaotic final minute of the half, Angelique Manjon taking a look at the watch, and that is half-time here at Cross Keys Reserve. 2-0 Essendon Royals lead at the break. Kelly McGrawdy, who else on the double? Keilor Park have themselves an almighty task in the second 45. Essendon Royals well on track to returning to the winner's circle in the Senol NPLW Victoria. Still plenty of action to come your way in the second 45, but at half-time at Cross Keys Reserve, it's Essendon Royals 2, Keilor Park 0. Well, welcome back to Cross Keys Reserve for the second half of this matchup between Essendon Royals and Keilor Park. The Royals 2-0 ahead as we head into the second 45. And amongst all of that, it looks as if there's been some substitutions for both teams. It appears that Keilor Park have made a couple of changes at the break, with Jess Au and Abby Holmes both coming into the action. Two players who came out of this week's starting 11. Ava Grober now charging forward for Essendon Royals early in this half. Also a change for the hosts. Bronte Peel has come out to start for this second 45, and she's taken the place of Ayano Koizumi, who was one of the more effective players for the Royals in that first 45. Got the assist for the second McGrawdy goal. But in any case, Liam Drury certainly shown his hand and his team's need for some more attacking thrust in this second 45. Just that one really good look at goal that they had. But they'll need to create plenty more where that came from if they are to find a way to take something from this game. Charge forward here for Keilor Park as Georgia Henderson hopes to latch onto this one. Michaela Jurcic getting across and sending the ball away. Ball inside. Abby Holmes threatens the little flick on header, but it finds its way all the way through and behind Zara Ward's goal. Two goals for the Royals, both scored by top scorer and Golden Boot leader Kelly McGrawdy, whose season's tally is now at 24 goals. An extraordinary contribution so far this campaign from the player who joined from the US college system, played for LaSalle University and the University of Iowa. Spoken of her ambitions to get a crack at the A-League, and to certainly done those prospects no harms with her performances really all season, but including this afternoon. A couple more goals to her name. But her team has another 45 minutes to navigate if they are to pick up the 3 points that they covered. 3 points which would take them a little bit clear of Avondale, who've closed the gap right up on the top three teams, as well as taking the Royals back within a point of Bulleen and the 3 of Box Hill. Parkinson with the ball over the top for Kingston Hogg. Grover happy to let it run as Parkinson continued the run. There was Ingalls. Will find its way back to Grace Mitchell. Pass forward cut out by Wilbert. And well, the end result of all of that is an Essendon Royals throw. A little bit of confusion as to which way the ball would go, but the hosts in possession through Wilbert. His ball forward cut out by Kennedy Layton. To have 2 goals in this game already, where very possibly on track to replicate the thriller that we got in the earlier meeting between these two teams this season, back in round 7 at Keilor Recreation Reserve. That one was a more even contest by the end, as we see Ava Grober doing extraordinarily well to keep the ball in play, and in the end just couldn't trouble Maggie Byrne with a little toe poke towards goal. Abby Holmes has set a task with the goalkeeper hoofing it upfield. There's Jess Au trying to take control with Henderson. Our right back onto it. Holmes and Henderson combine. And that one will run through for a Royals goal kick. That meeting back in round 7 between these two teams, ending 3-2 in the favour of the Royals. 3 goals in the first half before 2 of them for the Royals, 1 for Keilor Park. Amelia Ingalls getting her name on the score sheet before Kelly McRorty scored the Royals' third, and Runa Commodore pulled one back to make it 3-2 by the full-time whistle. Two teams who have come head-to-head a number of times really over the course of the last 20 or 30 years in a number of different competitions, different divisions, different iterations of Victorian women's football. Can go all the way back to the 90s, finding head-to-head between these two teams. The end result of it all is a very even distribution of results. This the 13th meeting between the two teams. The 12 were 4, 5-1 by the Royals, 5-1 by Keilor Park, to go with a couple of draws. Right now, though, where both these teams are in their respective trajectories, it's the Royals who are riding control. Ball into the area. Byrne got 2 hands to it. Wilbert was just leaning back as she fired the shot, so really scooped the ball well over the crossbar. Just mention that even though it's 5 wins each across the history of these two clubs, the last 4 of them have gone to the Essendon Royals. In a run stretching back to 2021. Keilor Park haven't beaten the Royals since a few years before that, in 2018. They'll need a lot to go right in this second half if that is to change here. Here is Holmes, Keilor Park's top scorer this campaign. Fair way off Kelly McRorty's numbers this season, but is a really valuable contributor up top. Here's Henderson. Vital block coming in from Ma, as Sandu uses Kendra Smith, who just looks for distance. Commodore. It's been a bright start to the second half of Keilor Park, and they've got themselves a corner as well. Applying a fair bit of pressure to their hosts as Runa Commodore prepares to deliver. Players gathering deep in the box, ready to make that run forward. The delivery was too shallow. And now Grover can spring forward on the counter for Essendon Royals. Sandu heads down, charging towards goal. Instead, McRorty is the target, who now uses Akeisha Sandu. Sandu just about stepped on the ball and lost control, so that sees Keilor Park able to quickly zing forward in the other direction. Commodore happy to win the throw and take that as a win. Last time these two teams met at this venue was back in 2022 in a State League 1 competition. That one was heavily favoured for the Essendon Royals. They won 6-0 in the early part of their ascent up the Victorian women's football ladder. I have to give credit to Keilor Park, the way they've started this second half. Showing that they're still very much of the belief that they can get something from this game. Readying now for another Commodore corner. Be hoping for a slightly more accurate delivery this time round. It is indeed. Finds a teammate, headed towards goal. Oh, what a sensational save. That was brilliant from Zara Board. Header on target at full stretch, the goalkeeper, and does just enough to palm it over the crossbar. Well, it's as close as Keilor Park have come. And Zara Board more than justifying her role in between the sticks. Another corner to be sent in, though. This one's got more depth on it from Commodore. Holmes just about kept it in play. Not to be in the end. And Essendon Royals will have a little bit of relief with the goal kick. Well, 10 minutes into this second half, it's been really all Keilor Park up to this point. They're really making a move, trying to work their way back into this game. Pretty firm coming together there between Amelia Ingles and Kelly McGrawdy. The scorer of both goals just remaining prone on the deck for a few extra moments. Does quickly revert from her substrate status to being upstanding and ready to continue applying the press for Essendon Royals. Some wonderful close control from Grace Barr. Wins the ball through, the pass cut out by Leighton. Leighton and Grover resume their battle, and Essendon Royals win themselves a throw. A third goal for the Royals you'd think would go a long way to killing off the Keilor Park resistance. The visitors showing plenty of fight still. Smith's throw inside. Leighton got a boot there to hoof it upfield towards the feet of Holmes, who does well to control ahead of Jurcic. Has Karic in support. On the far side is Jess Au. Karic says, "I'll go myself." From a long way out, Caitlin Karic. That wasn't too far away either. Keilor Park continuing to cause some fret at the back for Essendon. Sarah Board grateful that that one was narrowly off target in the end. Pretty firm challenge there from Wilbert to win back possession for the Royals. Charging forward, hoping for a teammate to take control. Eventually McGrawdy does. Cross inside, finds Bronte Peel. And Sarah Mitchell doing her defensive support work. Kinston Hogg delivers. Held by Grover for a moment. Now Ava Grover through on goal. 3 for the Royals. Ava Grover takes her chance and fires it into the back of the net. Surely now Essendon Royals are on their way to claiming 3 points. Oh, you see the reaction from their teammates. That was a clinical finish from Ava Grover. Every one of her teammates making their way up the pitch to congratulate a very popular teammate. Ava Grover, that her 3rd goal in NPL action this campaign. Just as it's the Essendon Royals' 3rd goal for the afternoon, and perhaps now the Keilor Park resistance is broken. We'll have to see in the next few minutes how much the visitors still have left in them, how much fight and belief remains. Abby Holmes up top trying to encourage her teammates. We see Keilor compressing the ground very much. Just about throw a blanket over 3/4 of the players on the pitch. Holmes gives chase, very nearly, but Kendra Smith Really well defended to get into the right position before sending it as far away from the goal as possible. Courage, her shot a few minutes ago. Well, if it had been just narrowly closer to the target, may well have had ourselves a very different game on our hands at the moment. 3-0 does feel a little bit harsh on Keilor Park, as much as they've certainly been second best for most of the afternoon. Commodore up to Henderson. Ball through, too much on it for Holmes. Grover gives chase again, that time met by Kennedy Leighton. Sandu taking the throw, uses Bronte Peel. Hasn't made a massive impact since coming off the bench, Bronte Peel. The game maybe a little bit less favourable to an attacking player for the Royals than the first half was. But as we tick into the final half hour or so of action, 3 goals to the good Essendon Royals. And if indeed they're able to see out the remainder of this one, they'll head into that Nike Cup semi-final tie against Bulleen, just a point behind their rivals. Getting a much needed league win to revive their premiership hopes as well, Essendon Royals. Chance here for Kelly McGrawdy. Lest we forget, he's on a hat-trick. Fakes one way, eventually fires with the right. That one, though, not troubling Maggie Byrne. Peel hoping for Grover on that left-hand side. Sandu. Grover again, cross inside to the head of Leighton. Keilor Park defending that one well. Just by way of a score update around the grounds. Just kicked off at Olympic Village between Heidelberg and Alamein. So still 0-0 there. We're at half-time at Lakeside, meanwhile, with South Melbourne holding a slender 1-0 advantage against Spring Hills. Here's Ava Grover for the Royals. Fizzes the cross along the deck. Eventually coming clear with the ball was Sarah Mitchell, though. And now Henderson launches the counter for Keilor Park. Courage. Inside towards Holmes. It's a decent first touch as well, Abby Holmes. Oh, she's hit the post from a tight angle. That was made something out of not a lot there, Abby Holmes, who is hoping to add to her 8 goals this campaign. And with that, well, it appears as if we're just waiting for a ball to get back to Zara Port as Essendon Royals ready what appears to be a triple substitution in the next minute or two. Flick on is good into the path of Peel. Power with the crucial defensive intervention. That pass only as far as Wilbert. And happy to play that one off Commodore for a Royals throw. Should mention South Melbourne 1-0 up as they are against Spring Hills. That would mean that they jump to 38 points. So the benefit for Essendon Royals of taking 3 points this afternoon. Not just closing the gap with the teams above them, but also keeping distance from those below them. There has been a yellow card flashed after a brief altercation between Kingston Hogg and Power. Mere Power, number 12, going into referee Angelique Manjon's book. And now the substitutions will take place. Grace Marr is the first to be withdrawn for the Royals. She makes way for Isabella Sewards. Kelly McGrawdy also gets an early mark. She makes way in favour of Emma Langley. And Alessia Bresciano will be brought into the game in place of Akeisha Sandhu. Keilor Park also making the substitution with Grace Mitchell making way. We'll just get confirmation of who's come on in just a moment as Keilor Park restart play with plenty of fresh faces now on the park. And it does look as if the player replacing Grace Mitchell is Ellie Lamont, who's taken up her position on the left flank. Danger for Zara Board at the back as that ball got through her legs. Did just enough to scramble back and get the ball away. Well, one back by Karic as Isabella Sewards is made to work as soon as she's been introduced into the game. But Ellie Lamont, the attacking reinforcement brought on by Liam Drury, of course the former D. Pikolovsky Best and Fairest medal winner for Preston Lions, was a big part of Preston's ascent into the top flight and their success in their first couple of years under Dan Foden in the top flight, and now making the move to Keilor Park, having most recently played across the ditch in New Zealand with Auckland City. Meanwhile, that raft of substitutions for the Royals with Langley, Sewards and Bresciano all onto the park. Certainly keeping things fresh for the hosts. Shoved off the ball there was Alessia Bresciano by Caitlin Karic. Powers throw inside. You see the sunlight peeking out there from behind some clouds. Might just make it slightly more awkward to defend any aerial deliveries. Here's Karic from a tight angle. Tried the shot. And that one not troubling Zara Board. Just a little bit of confusion as to which ball would be used to resume play. Eventually, Zara Board will restart the action with the goal kick. I mean, in hindsight, how important does that wonderful save from Zara Board look early in the second half? Following the corner, the header from close range. Brilliantly palmed over the crossbar when Keilor Park were looking at their most dangerous. And then not too long after that, It was Ava Grober scoring the Royals' third and perhaps ending the Keilor Park resistance in any meaningful sense. Still, though, they hunt for a way back into this, do the visitors. Ball in from Commodore. Away for Grober. Grober uses Langley and Bresciano, the two substitutes combining. Parkinson's ball, hoping for Kingston Hogg. Maybe Parkinson will get a second crack at it. Inside the final 20 minutes of the 90 now is Bronte Peel. Well, got the better of the physical exchange, wasn't able to trap the ball. This result would be a 13th league win of the campaign for the Essendon Royals. It would see them break through the 40-point barrier. It's the third team to do so this campaign. For Keilor Park, it has still been a really good, just about a couple of months. Benefited from the mid-season recruits, but putting together more results in the last 6 games than they have at any other stage this season. And in this trip to Cross Keys, they've been outplayed for portions of the game, but also shown plenty of fight. That cross inside finds Langley. Well, that would have been a spectacular effort as she had the boot high in the air and almost directed it on target. But the result, if it does indeed remain as it is, will mean Keilor Park stay in 11th position, still 5 points clear of Preston in 12th, and to hold 15 of Melbourne City in 13th. Cleverly done by Bronte Peel. Tried to release Kingston Hogg. Falls to Langley. Cross goal. Important intervention from Ingles. Now Holmes. There's space on the left for Lamont. That's where the ball is sent. Ellie Lamont making some space on her right. Didn't have the support she was hoping for. Au and Commodore, well, conspired between themselves to cough up possession. Al will get another look at it now. Holmes. Out to Karic. We'll feel that she should have a goal to her name this afternoon, Caitlin Karic, and continuing to scavenge for an opportunity. Once again, though, the space was closed down to great effect. And Amy Parkinson getting the ball as far away from danger as she can. Well, Lamont's popped up on the right flank this time. Wrestles past Bresciano. Bresciano, though, wasn't to be beaten. The Royals' numbers converging to clear the ball. And the referee's whistle means Keilor Park will have themselves a dead ball opportunity here to maybe grab themselves a goal, and, well, from there, who knows what happened. Or what could happen, I should say. Keilor Park, their next couple of games they'll feel are eminently winnable. Next week they return home to Keilor Park Recreation Reserve to welcome Bentley Greens before making the trip up to BT Connor to take on Preston Lions. For now, though, Caitlin Karic with a 4-player wall between her and the goal. Courage fires at Zara Board. That one a fairly comfortable claim for the Royals goalkeeper. Another cool gust of wind coming through. Certainly hasn't been the most comfortable conditions to watch or play football this afternoon. And well, it will turn into a really nice moment this afternoon. Margot Rabin making her return to NPL Victoria. One of the players announced in mid-season. She'll actually be replacing Abby Holmes, the half-time substitute, who came out and gave plenty in the half hour she had on the pitch, but well, you wonder whether there's some physical concern for Abby Holmes to see her withdrawn before the end of this game. But it does mean that Margot Rabin will try to have her say for the final 15 or 20 minutes of this one. Rabin has played A-League for a number of clubs, Melbourne City, Canberra, Brisbane as well as featuring for multiple NPL Victoria teams, Bulleen, Burundara, most recently Heidelberg. Perhaps had her greatest influence in that Burundara team coming up into the top flight under John Kyrgios, combining with the likes of Correa Aquino and Becky Lim to really take the top flight by storm. Now trying her luck in the colours of Keilor Park, but her teammates have a corner to defend first. Bresciano delivers. You saw the idea. Kingston Hogg came charging at the ball. Couldn't quite time the jump or run. Here's Courage for Keilor Park. Her ball inside. Well, had no one making the run, and the ball was really not to any of her teammates' great advantage. Kingston Hogg, well, she's got the taste for goal, tries another audacious attempt. Now into the path of Peel, well read by Leighton. Now Ingles hoping to get the ball upfield, only as far as Wilbert. Now the crack here, this time for Lamont. And now the ball sent in the direction of Rabin. Chichowe's favourite, Jess Owl, hoping to send it to the feet of Rabin. And Essendon Royals very much intent on denying the new introduction any time on the ball. Rabin's such a technically capable player. Peel back to goal on the turn, looks to tee up Kingston Hogg. Hogg looks central to Sewards. And the Royals think about recycling. Kendra Smith goes the more ambitious approach. And now here is Margot Rabin on the ball. Well blocked by Langley. And now Bresciano. Grober and Langley combine. Courage is back, helping out with the defence. Now starts the run from deep in her own half. Hoped to pick out Ellie Lamont on that far side. Parkinson well positioned though to cut it out, and now it's Parkinson who tries her luck from a long way out. That one of the more straightforward takes from this afternoon for Maggie Byrne. I think it's fair to say, has had a less busy second half than she did in the first. It's been a fairly even second 45, all things considered, but the Royals with the only goal of it so far. Grover. Inside towards Langley. Peel latches onto the loose ball. Bronte Peel has Langley inside. That's where she was trying to head. Parkinson arriving. Amy Parkinson's shot well blocked by Power. And the player will now be stopped with a little bit of an injury concern. What looks like is Sarah Mitchell in the middle of the park. We'll just get confirmation of that when we can. Medical staff ushered onto the pitch by Angelique Manjon. Looks of things having both legs stretched out. Sarah Mitchell, as she does eventually find her way back to her feet. Into the final 8 minutes now of the 90. Keilor Park will, at least for a moment, be numerically disadvantaged. As Alessia Bresciano prepares to restart play with the throw. Ball in search of a teammate making the run. It's awkward for Leighton. Parkinson and Peel just about work it out between themselves. Peel's shot was really well blocked. I'm not sure where the ball is at the moment. And a little bit of confusion as to what the call is that has been made. Kennedy Leighton, a little bit worse for wear in the aftermath. Keilor Park looked to have scrambled with sufficient determination to get themselves some relief from the referee's whistle. Looking ahead for the Royals, that midweek Nike Cup semi-final clash at the Veneto Club is the big one coming up before they make the long trip down to Casey Fields to take on Melbourne City. Chance here for Ava Grover through on goal. Burn alert again. But then after they have been to both the Veneto Club and Casey Fields, the Royals, they will return here to Cross Keys to welcome Melbourne Victory and Bentley Greens in consecutive weeks. We'll be seeing what looks like another Keilor Park substitution. Caitlin Carriage being motioned towards the bench, perhaps. And indeed, the Melbourne City forward will be withdrawn for Keilor Park. Last page, Kingston Hogs afternoon also comes to an end. So Rene Pocock has come onto the park for Essendon Royals. There is admittedly not a number 25 on the team sheet for Keilor Park, but I believe that is Georgia Thackeray, who's been brought on for the final few minutes by Liam Drury. That ball centrally met by Kendra Smith. Keilor Park really throwing everything at trying to grab themselves at least a goal to take back out west from this tough away fixture. Ellie Lamont spending some time on the ball before looking centrally, just about coughed up possession, but in the end Jess Au will recover for Keilor Park. The Royals, a team who've built their success much more on scoring than keeping clean sheets, but I'm sure Jaden von der Hayden would very much appreciate it if his team could come away from this game without having conceded a goal. To have 5 clean sheets this season, Essendon Royals, so they have their fair share, but a 6th would certainly not go astray for this Royals outfit. Bresciano looking to provide some offensive thrust, and that touch from Bella Sewards. We'll see Keilor Park take the throw. So the other couple of games to come your way this afternoon in the Senol NPLW Victoria. The 3 games last night as well. And what was, well, a high-scoring evening of football. 2-2 draw between Preston and Bulleen. The slip-up from Bulleen as that paved the way for Box Hill to move clear on top with their 3-1 win against Burundara. Ellie Lamont now for Keilor Park. Cuts inside onto the right. It's a long way from goal. Sprints it out to Thackeray. Alessia Bresciano doing her defensive work though. Last night also seeing Avondale put the 3 past Bentley at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex to move level on points with Essendon Royals at the time. This result will see the Royals moving a little bit clear again. And those results leaving us with no action to come on Sunday, but the 2 Nike Cup semi-finals in midweek. Essendon Royals heading to the Ven on Wednesday night, the night before on Tuesday. The game at Lakeside, a rematch of last year's final as South Melbourne and Heidelberg United go head-to-head in a real blockbuster tie. You have to credit Keilor Park. They haven't given up on trying to at least give themselves a goal to take home from this afternoon. That ball forward by Power will find its way all the way through to Zara Board, who certainly earned her clean sheet if indeed it is forthcoming. Into the 90th minute now, plus however much is deemed appropriate for second half stoppage. Pocock looks cross-field towards Langley. Cross inside into the gloves of Maggie Byrne. Much like how the game started, with Maggie Byrne getting plenty of opportunities to make some saves and some strong claims. Commodore, pretty clear-cut drag back there from Kendra Smith, which will result in the Royals defender's name being taken by Angelique Manjon. We're now into second half stoppage time as Kennedy Layton wastes no time sending the ball into the area. Smith, who just picked up that yellow card with the defensive header. Lamont fires towards goal. And Zara Ward very happy to watch that one flying past her post. 3 minutes is how much stoppage time we will play. About 30 seconds of that already having been gone through, and a brief pause as Kendra Smith just needed a couple of extra moments to gather herself before we restart play. Pocock. Royals maybe looking at adding a fourth late on. Parkinson treats to Wilbert. Wilbert's ball inside, missed by Peel. And Commodore with the overhead clearance. As far as Bresciano, Rabin contests. Bit of a clash of generations there between Alessia Bresciano and Margot Rabin. Rabin now 35 years of age. Bresciano just 19 still. Having worked her way into regular first team action for the Essendon Royals over the last couple of seasons. There's some more defensive work to do here though. Good use of the body. Sees the ball sent away as far as Sarah Mitchell. Tees up Jess Au. Au's shot catches a deflection from Jurcic and behind. So maybe one more opportunity for Keilor Park to grab a goal before the full-time whistle. Corner taken short. Jessau with the little touch prompts another referee's whistle. Foul committed by Renee Pocock. And the foul was just outside the penalty area, so the Royal substitute's name is taken. And with it, maybe a chance for Runa Commodore. You can't really get any closer to the penalty area without being in it. Well, for what will perhaps be the last offensive move of the game. Angelique Manjon ensuring the wall is back the requisite distance. And a bit of an unusual position for a free kick to be delivered. Commodore sends it in, it's got pace. Board watched it all the way. And with that, may well have done enough to secure the clean sheet. Indeed, that is full time. Essendon Royals back in the winner's circle in NPLW football. 3-0 to the good against Keilor Park. A double from Kelly McGrawdy in the first half, added to with a third by Ava Grover in the second. They proved too strong this afternoon for Keilor Park, and they'll head into their midweek Nike Cup semi-final tie full of belief and still right in the Senol NPLW Victoria Premiership race. For Keilor Park, their winning run comes to an end, but they've still got plenty of positives to work with as they head into their last 6 weeks of the campaign. That's all the time that we have, though, this afternoon from Cross Keys Reserve. Be sure to keep up with all the YouTube streams coming your way from NPLW Victoria this weekend. But that's all the time that we have this afternoon between Essendon Royals and Keilor Park. The Royals too good on the day. Full-time score, Essendon Royals 3, Keilor Park 0.